to hand things over to our final panelist, Ms. Desiree Guyton, who is a licensed professional counselor, and she's going to share her insights on actually counseling young people who often look to things or substances to deal with some of the challenges they're facing, such as stress and depression. So take it away, Desiree.
So I want to say thank you to all the other panelists in front of me, because I think they just really set a great stage. And as Dr. Trench really stated, there is a lot of psychological impact that's also connected to the biological impact on not only just young people, but adults and all those who are taking in marijuana as a substance. And so I want to just take one step back and say, remember that the high or the impact that they're seeking is the sense of relaxation, this pleasure. And in doing that, it heightens the sensitivity or their sensor perceptions. So then they start laughing, they're altered, and they're increase in appetite, all those biological things that Dr. Trent mentioned. And so for some, that's their impact. The others, as I think the video was trying to hint with the students, is for some, it actually does the reverse. A high level of anxiety, fear, distrust, and panic, and begin a paranoid state. And so even if they get the high, what I'm seeing professionally, and especially if they're using for over a year period of time, when they're coming off and they're not having it, then the fear level, depression level increases. And that's important, because the thing is why are they? One of the things that we as adults or people, and not just in general in America, stress levels are high. Between 70 and 80% based on your nationality, our kids are living in single family homes. So I'm guessing, but most of the panelists here are middle class or upper middle class. And so when we have this conversation, we have to realize our kids are involved in a much more multicultural environment, much more cultural dynamics that's happening. And so they are going to be, even if they grew up in a great home that gave them safety and security, what we're seeing is a rise, especially through this pandemic, high level rise of anxiety and fear and paranoia and all and mental health in general, depression, all increasing. So, and home is not always safe, right? And so escapism is not only a teenage problem, it's an adult problem. Where do we get our joy? Where do we get the ability to fight through these anxieties and fears? And like Mr. King has said clearly, sports is it's amazing in my own life. What's happening is our world is shifting. Sports used to be a major thing that was happening in the middle class in our culture, right? So we have a lot of these shifts that's happening, that's creating, where do people go and learn how to deal with anxiety and fear? Sports teach music, drama, all these things that would be great for kids to be actively involved. We're actually seeing a decrease. Gaming, staying home, social media, there's a decrease of actual interpersonal connections, right? And so if we as adults don't model interpersonal, external type of connectivity to the world successfully, one of the things is if our adults are increasing in isolation, depression, anxiety. So one of the things we have to really say is the desire to escape is a cultural thing. So we all have to play a role in communicating that, or also modeling it. And so we have to ask, even among ourselves as panelists, what do we do to find joy? How do we fight through our fears and anxieties? Therefore, for parents, we have to say, how am I modeling that? Because part of the problem is with marijuana is that it arrests the development of a young person. That's my opinion, right, Dr. Trench? Based off of what's happening with biologically and mentally, we can have, you're arresting that development. And what I mean by that, it is both with the brain and development, but also I'm not giving you the tools to be able to handle anxiety. A lot of these kids are, during their formative years, they're asking the question, how do I relate to my peers? Everyone's looking at me. These are normal questions you ask yourself as a teenager, but we got to give them the tools. Instead, if they don't have the tools to fight against basic anxieties, fears, depression, the mental, like Mr. King was stating, it is very important that we give them the mental abilities to develop mentally to fight through life. Instead, marijuana's become the tool to escape from life. And that is what is very disturbing. And it's not just our young people. I don't know. I did a lot of in-home counseling, and I had kids smoking with their grandmothers. Okay. And their mothers. And this is nothing new. It is now being legalized. And that is what's going to be hard on our communities and our societies. So addressing that escapism is very important in our conversation. So we have to be influencers. We're, as we were talking about parenting and looking for this stuff, how we react and how we respond, you cannot be a dictator. And the reason why we can't be dictator, I grew up with parents, I was just afraid. My dad found out, it was just like, I'm just, he gonna kill me. So I ain't touching nothing because he gonna kill me. Right. And it was that kind of, but in our society today, we've raised our children and our society has empowered them, which rightfully so, that they have a voice, they need to be heard. And so we cannot come at parenting in that way. And so instead we have to be influencers because they are being totally influenced by the social media and other ways. So how this is impacting young people, we need to be aware that it's arresting. That's the word I use with parents all the time is if we don't begin, you're arresting their development. And we saw that with alcohol, with any type of drug, wherever they start is where they wind up continually, emotionally, mentally, in their adulthood. All right. And so what the healthy alternatives is not isolation. And so, but we have to be creative around it now. Okay. Kids are just not growing up going to basketball or going to, well, we do. We have the middle class who loves the sports and if you have those agencies and resources. But if 70-80% of families are now being raised in single parent homes, first, parents have to admit, I can't do it all on my own. I have to allow others actively involved in my children's lives. So building healthy villages around your children is major healthy alternative. Helping your child, first we have to admit we need a village. We have to help our children know they need a village. Those villages are being taken away. I grew up in church, 6-7 days a week, basketball. I didn't have time to get high. There was no, we didn't have those times to just, because my parents had me I was so actively involved. Our kids today are not, right? They're choosing social media over soccer. Soccer's just too hard. I hear it all the time. Your parents got you. Yeah, it's just too hard. They'd rather stay home and play soccer on the video game. And so we have to, parents are allowing them, well, he doesn't want to do it. Well, my parents didn't give us a certain level of choices and it's being external activities. And we're allowing the internal activities to continue. So I know we're talking about marijuana. I'm saying, psychologically, what I'm seeing is that that parents and us as a community have to not only just be aware and say, okay, here's this boogeyman, the marijuana. We have to actively be involved in helping them to receive healthy alternatives. And so, as community leaders and as a therapist and working with kids, I'm having to like educate them helping them to understand how it impacts them biologically. And most of them, you know what, I have to honestly say, they'll admit it. They'll say, when I'm coming off, I am more irritable. I'm more angry, right? And so those things, when I'm getting more, I'm more anxious. I'm more fearful, and so it makes my job as a therapist much harder to work with them to come out of those things if marijuana, the substance, is impacting the skills that we're trying to give. And so most, at least I'm finding, is once I educate, help them to see, and of course, they're going to buck back because they enjoy it. They're enjoying this, but part of influencing them is helping them to see, and most that got off of it were through positive relationships, getting involved in other activities, helping them not to isolate, helping them to learn the skill to overcome some of the reasons why they're using it. What is their joy? Where are they getting their joy? Where are they getting help to get through mentally and emotionally the strength, like Dr. King was saying, like he was saying, on the field, he's able to say, hey, boom, 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 you want to be this, here's a goal. Well, a lot of our kids there's, especially marijuana, that it makes them not want to do anything. And it's hard for them to capture goals. So we, as the community, parents, we need to continue to develop what it means to influence them, without being dictation, not just our anger and our frustration. Instead, it's here. The reality is it's here, just like alcohol is here. And we have to give them the tools to help them stop escaping, face life, help them understand the things that they're escaping from is life. And what does it mean to have natural joy? What does it mean to have natural fun? What does it mean to learn to relax your body naturally versus using substance? And unfortunately, too many adults have not learned what it means to have natural relaxation, natural ability to handle your fears and work through life. And that is something we have to help our young people to understand, that marijuana impacts your development. So I'll shut up there.
Wow.